I'm fried like a motherfucker. What's going on with your gang? Today we got a final affliction video. My guys, my motherfucking gang. I ain't did one of these in a minute. You feel me? Shoot, he was getting up in their feelings, but man, I don't give a fuck. But this crocodile bites this motherfucker's head off. And the thumbnail was a little boy, you feel me? It was a little boy, so boy, I believe it. Either way, even if it was a little boy, grown man, shoot, a giant, you feel me? Probably not no giant. I'm over exaggerating shit, but he biting that motherfucker head off for sure. Oh my mama. But we gonna get right up into this, gang.
Today's episode, a father and son go fishing in crocodile-infested waters in Australia. It isn't long before a massive crocodile launches an attack that takes the father's head clean off. Hit that like button and subscribe right now. This is the terrifying saltwater crocodile attack on Carrie McLaughlin. Welcome to Final Affliction.
Crocs being saltwater?
Crocodile National Park in North Australia is a protected park of sorts. People aren't allowed to hunt or farm in the area, but locals still go fishing and out for picnics without a guide or the need for a permit. The animals inside are protected by law, but it's still open for people to move in and out without hindrance. And for the most part, this has always worked out well. By encouraging the public to appreciate nature, they are incentivized to protect it, not to destroy. Through Crocodile runs Crocodile River, named after, you guessed it, the huge amounts of saltwater crocodiles that infest the waters. The crocodiles in that river are one of the few success stories of nature conservation. By the middle of the 19th century, they were critically endangered, and in just 20 years, they were brought back from the brink, a victory that the locals are fiercely proud of. It's a popular spot for visitors to take pictures and to view the fearsome creatures in their natural habitats. The locals make a game of giving the oldest crocs names and pointing them out to day tourists. In the years, people have petitioned to put a bridge over Crocodile River, but authorities deemed it a waste of money. Before you judge them too harshly, they actually had a point. Locals ride their dirt bikes and fish in those waters every day, and despite the numerous signs put up to warn them of the dangers in the current, they walk around in the shallows as they cast their lines in for fish, sometimes even taking a swim to cool off from the midday heat. Say what you want about the Aussies, they're tough as...
I would never have my kids that close to some crocodiles. Hell no. I never have my kids that close to any type of wildlife like that. You feel me? Like that's just plain and too dangerous.
Snails. You don't grow up in the land down under where every other thing wants to kill you without growing hair on your teeth. A bridge would have been a waste of taxpayers' money since no one would have used it anyway. There were more than enough warnings, and everyone knew what they were walking into if they really wanted to. Crocodile holds another title, other than just being one of the biggest crocodile populations in the country. It's also where the movie Crocodile Dundee was filmed all those years ago. But in March 1987, it would become famous for something other than being the grounds for one of the best Aussie cinematic gems to grace our screens. It became the scene of one of the most brutal attacks in the river's history, and one that still haunts the witnesses to this day.
Oh shit, here
On that day, Carrie McLaughlin took his son out for some father-son fishing. Their parked car at the picnic area was soon joined by another vehicle containing 6 American tourists. When they saw the two fishing, one of the visitors, Everett Galbraith, took a few snapshots of the pair. Everett and Carrie struck up a short conversation because Everett thought the pictures of the father and son were so sweet that he wanted to post them to Carrie once Everett got back to the States and they were developed. Carrie's open and friendly nature made it easy to like him immediately. A miner by trade, Carrie was hard and tough on the outside, but an absolute hoot to strike up a conversation with, and his preteen son was just as open and naturally funny. They were a charming pair, and they introduced the Americans to Eric, the biggest...
So I'm taking it. This the guy that got his shit bitten off.
Croc in the water. Carrie pointed a 3.5-meter long beast lying on the riverbank out to Everett, telling him how the lizard was a favorite of the locals, just because it was such a big specimen. Carrie even warned the group to keep back from the water's edge, noting that the reptiles were just as fast on land as they were in the water. They ended their conversation so that Carrie and his boy could get back to catching a few more swimmers for the day. But Carrie wasn't having much luck, so he decided to try on the opposite bank instead. On that side, there was a clump of reeds, and he knew by now that his catch liked to hide amongst the grasses that grew right out of the water. Despite his own warnings to the tourists to be careful of getting too close to the water, Carrie stepped right into the current himself. It was just a few feet to get to the other side, and at its deepest point, the water reached up to the 40-year-old's chest. Carrie's son was right behind him, their poles resting on their shoulders as they waded through. Everett spied Eric on the far side of the river. The crocodile was no longer sunning itself on the sandy bank. It had slipped into the shallows the moment that Carrie stepped in. Everett yelled for Carrie to keep an eye out for the crocodile ahead of him, but Eric just waved him off at the same time that his foot slipped on the muddy bottom. Carrie came up spluttering and gagging on the mucky water. His son was about to make a jibe at his father's banana feet, but the laughter went cold on the boy's lips. The lad saw the creature strike from the far bank, slithering its snake-like body toward where Carrie went down. Everett saw it too, and he began to yell for them to turn back. Carrie might have been a daredevil and a joker, but
You was warned. You was warned. Now we here today. Look at us reacting to your death, nigga.
even he realized the impending danger streaking toward him. Pushing his son ahead, the two began to swim as hard as they could, back the way they'd come. Carrie made sure that his boy stayed ahead of him, but he'd lost sight of the beast. It had gone down low, beneath the brown water. When they reached the bank, the face of the loamy wall was too high to simply wade out on. They would have to climb it. The young man began scaling the steep wall, with his father boosting his feet up from below, just as the boy scuttled onto dry land, turning to grab his father.
Downy, free and gentle. Softer clothes for skin's sake.
At least he saved his son. That's all that matters. You saved your son. You saved what matters. Real
Father's
nigga.
hand to pull him up too. The boy finally sighted him, with his father boosting his feet up from below, just as the boy scuttled onto dry land, turning to grab his father's hand to pull him up too. The boy finally sighted Eric. The animal came out of the water like a cannon, and Carrie reacted instinctively, throwing himself away from the approaching predator and into a drifting log that was floating close by. The croc missed him by just a few inches. Carrie grabbed the log and jammed it at the animal that was approaching again as the rocks from above began raining down. His son was pelting missiles at the creature. It was the only thing the boy could do while the tourist stood watching several yards away in open-mouthed horror. The crocodile dipped below the water again, and when it came up, it was right in Carrie's face. The last thing that Carrie saw was the gigantic maw, full of razor-sharp teeth, and the pink lining of its throat. Then everything went dark. The crowd and Carrie's terrified son watched as the crocodile bit Carrie's head clean off his shoulders. Everett had reached the boy, grabbed him by the shoulders, and dragged him away from the shore. And a good thing, too. The boy, in his panicked state, was about to jump right back into the river to save his father. The group had to drive 5 minutes to the nearest phone, located at a gift shop, to phone the authorities. Within 20 minutes, the authorities were there, but the rest of Carrie's body was nowhere to be seen, nor was the crocodile that had killed him. It didn't take them long to locate it, however. Lying on another stretch of sand, it had dragged Carrie's corpse out and was getting ready to feed. One of the officers fired a round, causing Eric to drop Carrie's body and flee back into the river. But no one knows whether or not that round killed it. The crocodile's body never surfaced. It might have been eaten by other crocs, or it's still out there somewhere. Saltwater crocodiles can live for almost 100 years after all, so there is a very real possibility that Eric is still lurking the murky waters, waiting to bring another innocent swimmer to their terrifying final affliction.
Take that boy head clean off, nigga. Give me that. What is you talking about? But no, if you made it this far, like, comment, share, and hit that sub button, man. RP to bro that lost his life like that. Yeah, could never be me. That's why you keep that fire on you.